Hi, and welcome to the video on galaxy classification activity. In this video, I will walk through the three parts of this activity, and in the end, I will show you how to do part one. So in this activity, as I said, there are three parts. In the first part, you're given 15 pictures of different galaxies. And in part one, you are going to develop a classification scheme for these galaxies based on their appearances. In part two, you will learn about the Hubble classification scheme, which is the most widely used galaxy classification scheme. To learn about it, you'll first watch this video that's linked here. And then you will read about the different classifications. You will use information from both the video and the reading to help you answer these questions. So questions 1, 2, and 3. Finally, for part 3, you're going to apply your understanding of the Hubble's classification scheme to make predictions about galaxies. Because one of the things that's important for you to know is that the way that galaxies are classified based on their appearance can also tell you information about the properties of galaxies and what's going on in those galaxies. So you will start by watching the video that's linked here, answering questions 1 through 10 while watching the video. And after watching the video, I want you to read over your answers and then use what you gained from the video to help you answer questions 11 through 12. So parts 3 and part 2 are pretty much self-explanatory. You get information from reading and or video to help you answer the question. But part 1 is a little confusing. So I'm going to spend the rest of the video talking a bit about part 1. So in part 1, you're given 15 pictures of different galaxies. And what they ask you to do is to develop a classification scheme. And that's done in 2 steps. The first step is to sort the images into elliptical and spiral galaxies. And what you're going to do is you're going to copy and paste the images. So, for example, the first galaxy we see, galaxy number 1, that looks like a spiral galaxy. So I will just copy, or you can cut and paste, however you want to do it. And I would paste that here for spiral galaxy. The second one also looks like a spiral, so I will put that in the spiral galaxy box, which is the second box. And then I would repeat that for number 3, but number 3 looks like an elliptical, and so I will sort that over here. So you're going to do that for all 15. We just did the first 3. And once you have all 15 sorted, you're going to sort it again in step 2. I'll talk about that in a moment. So now that we have organized the different types of galaxies into elliptical and also our spiral collection in step 1, what they're asking us to do in step 2 is to examine, starting with the elliptical galaxies, examine those galaxies and rearrange them so the elliptical galaxies that look most similar are grouped together. So essentially what we're trying to do is gain some sort of subcategory. It's sort of like with how we classify fruit or produce. So you can have peaches as a type of fruit or peaches, but then there are different types of peaches. And that's kind of what we're doing here, where our elliptical galaxies are peaches, but then within that category there are different types. And that's what we're trying to do here. So let's say I look at these elliptical galaxies and I notice that they have different sizes and different shapes. And maybe what I want to do to group them is I'll first start off with shapes. So like 3 and 5 look kind of round. And 6 and 11 also, actually 6 and 12 look round, not 6 and 11. So I'll say that these are our round ones. And what I can do to sort of help me out here is I'm going to take the 10, which is not like it. I'm going to cut it out, and I'm going to enter a new line. I'm going to put it under here. And I'll do the same thing with 11. It looks not so round, and I'll put that there. So now I have sort of two groups, but now I'm going to divide this first group into two separate groups where I have the ones that the bigger circles and the smaller circles. So maybe I'll put the smaller circles on top. So I'm going to Control X to cut out 6. I'm going to tab over here, and I'm going to insert it up here. And I'll take Control X, I'll cut out 12, and I'll place those together. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and label these groups. I'm not going to write the group label on the side, so I'll say group 1, small and round, and group 2, large and round, and group 3, oval shape. So I've done that with the elliptical ones, and maybe you'll have your own sort of subcategories within the elliptical galaxies. So go ahead and try that for your ellipticals, and make sure you label groups with some sort of description, because that'll help you for the questions later. Once you've done that for ellipticals, you can also do that for the spiral galaxies. So what similarities do you notice, what differences, and then try and group those together. Once you have that done, there are a couple of sort of reflection questions about why you group those together. So for elliptical, I could say that some of them had a round shape and some had a more oval shape, and then the round ones, some were bigger and some were smaller. Now you'll use your classification in part 2, where they ask you to compare the scheme you develop in part 1, so how you classify things, compared to how Hubble classified things. So just know you'll have to come back to your classification. Alright, I hope you found this video on the galaxy classification activity helpful. Have a quality day.